That was Alien 3. That was Alien 3. Fuck the actual Alien 3. This was Alien 3.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So if you couldn't tell, I just got out of seeing Alien Romulus, and like I said in the beginning, this is what Alien 3 is going to be in my mind for the foreseeable future. This movie is so fucking good. I had high expectations for this movie, and I kind of went into this movie with those high expectations still, but also still thinking to myself, if I keep these high expectations on, I'm gonna get a little bit less of an experience when I leave the theater. But no, those high expectations were met, and actually, when it comes to the third act, they exceeded those high expectations. This movie is the queasiest and most gut-wrenching horror movie I have seen in a while. And I think getting the director from the Evil Dead reboot, requel, whatever you want to call it, and Don't Breathe was a great start. Fede, I think it's Fede Alvarez. Apologies if I didn't pronounce that properly, but I know the director, I love it, and I think that was the next step forward that this series needed. I think when it comes to the past Alien movies, Alien 3, we all know what happened there. That was just studio bullshit, just didn't really feel like the director's movie. Alien Resurrection, that was just Joss Whedon bullshit. He did the screenplay, and it showed. Don't even get me started on Alien Resurrection, that's probably my least favorite Alien movie. I don't really count the AVP movies, they're not really taking the Alien movies to another level. I don't really think it's an Alien movie. Prometheus, now, I actually like Prometheus. I thought that movie was fine. I don't think it was dog shit, like people say. I think just because a movie doesn't have xenomorphs doesn't make it a bad Alien movie, because I think, I liked how that movie had balls and tried to do something different. Alien Covenant, shat on all that shit. I did not like Alien Covenant at all. I honestly hated how they had the xenomorphs in that, because I felt like they ruined the xenomorphs in that. But now we got Alien Romulus, which, in my opinion, takes the horror aspect of the first movie and then the action-packed sequences in Aliens, pushes those together, and also takes all that Fede Alvarez is good at, puts it all in this movie, and that's what Alien Romulus is. This movie is very difficult to watch, in a good way. There are so many sequences in this movie that had me, looking away from the screen and just pure, utter cringe during the scenes. There is a specific scene in this movie involving face huggers that really felt Walking Dead to me. It was horrifying. When it comes to, a horror aspect, the thing that sets me over the most is body horror, or something that's, going wrong internally. And we really see that. This movie is what I wanted the Alien movies to finally do, and that's take a spin on how the science and how, the body horror of the aliens is perceived. Because in the first movie, I think the most body horror we get is, obviously the chest hugger, or chest burster coming out, the face hugger going on, and then just, wrapping it around its neck, and obviously coming out of the chest. And that's really all the body horror we get, because there's only one xenomorph in Alien. Aliens, it's not really that scary. It's definitely a more action-packed James Cameron movie. This movie, I love how they perceive how the face huggers act in this movie, the animalistic nature of these things. They feel like large insects, if I can really put that too well. They feel like they're like scurrying around. They're very horrifying. They're very scary. I love how they're perceived in this, how they're shot. And how they shoot and how they show the facehuggers impregnating people is way too graphic, which is a good thing. They show on the outside the egg going into their bodies, and I think you see that in the trailers, and it's a lot more in depth in the movie. I'm not going to get into specifics because I feel like that'd be a spoiler. They really get creative on how they show the facehuggers impregnating it, and then that it leads to a very crazy scene. And then how they also show when someone's about to get chest bursted there's a very, very well shot sequence when the first character has a chest burster come out. and it is shot so creepy, so queasy. I cringed so much in that scene. It was so good. I was honestly very impressed that there was a lot of action in this movie. I thought it was just going to be pure, like, tension-filled body horror, but I mean, that's there and it's present, but I was honestly surprised on how much action was in this movie. And they balanced them very well, because those are two very different tones when it comes to, like, how they're perceived in a movie. When you go to an action movie, you're not really thinking, oh, this is going to be scary, this is going to be cringy. I mean, well, when I come to cringe, I mean, like, movie actually making you purposefully cringing, not like Eternals where you're just cringing the whole time unconventionally. But, so yeah, the best thing I could say about this movie, it feels like a perfect blend with Alien and Aliens. It takes what made those two movies very great, pushes it together, and makes Alien Romulus. I think also putting Ridley Scott in the producer's chair was a definitely good call for this. Because obviously I don't want Ridley Scott to not be a part of these movies anymore. I feel like these are his children. When it comes to the first Alien movie, obviously, and Prometheus, I thought those were probably the best Alien movies out there. I mean, it goes Alien, Aliens, Prometheus, and then all the dog shit underneath. So, like I said, I don't think Ridley Scott should be, like, completely stripped of his freedoms of being at least a part of these movies. But I still think having this new director come in, same director of Evil Dead, was a great choice, because the horror aspect of the Evil Dead requel and Don't Breathe, I think worked very well. Something I gotta give this movie credit for is because this movie stands out very differently from the rest, specifically how it's paced and the tone for it, and of course the horror aspect, and how that's perceived. But this movie does such a great job of, keeping it neutral, and then all of a sudden you're shifting gears into drive. And that's not really something the other Alien movies have done, especially the Ridley Scott ones, because those ones felt very, like, slow pace, especially Prometheus. There were a couple of scenes where, like, it just goes from 0 to 100, but very few, because that's not really who Ridley Scott is as a director. This movie does not hold back. And again, that's another reason why this movie is really great, because it's taking things to another level. Finally, since 2012, we finally got something that's a lot newer. And it's not just cringe body horror in this. I wasn't cringing the whole time, because there is still, like, a point in this movie where I was having fun watching it. I wasn't, like, completely being, like, obliterated by body horror and, like, cringing, but there are moments of fan service in this that I was having fun with, and I was, like, jumping out of my seat excited about. I'm not going to get into spoilers for that, because there are a lot of fan service moments in this that had me excited, but I can also see why, like, an average moviegoer is going to be like, okay, I mean, why not? They're not going to really react to it, but they're not going to be, like, completely dissuaded by it. But I was having fun during certain aspects of this movie, mainly the first act, because they do a lot of stuff. Because, like, the first Alien movie had a lot of isolation. There wasn't much world building in that movie, nor did Aliens, and definitely none of the other Alien movies. Prometheus did have some cool world building, but it didn't show, like, civilization. We do get to see some civilization in this. Like, we see them before they take off into the Romulus, which I do like that. I like seeing what the world is like during this age and time. The first Alien movie. This does take place before the first Alien movie, I think. No. This movie takes place. This movie takes place before Aliens, but after Alien. It doesn't really mean anything to those two movies. It doesn't change anything, but it doesn't add anything to those movies when it comes to, like, the timeline. Yeah, it wasn't just pure tension. I mean, it's there and it's a lot of it, but there are moments of this movie where I was genuinely having fun as a fan of these movies, and as a fan, as a fan of the first two and Prometheus. That's pretty much it. And I think a lot of people will be surprised or be pleased by those aspects. I think people will have fun like I did, because the crowd that I saw this movie with was having a blast. One guy actually made, like, I don't think he was actually throwing up. I hope not, but he was, like, going Like, just, there was just a guy behind me, like, going, like, making weird, shitty noises every time there's something queasy happened on screen. It was hilarious. So, judging by that aspect, I think people are going to really enjoy this movie and also not enjoy it in a nice way. Because there are scenes where I was not enjoying watching it, but the movie knew that an audience member was not going to enjoy watching it. It wasn't bad, it was just hard to watch. The score and sound design in this movie, oh god, it's so good. The sound design, it's half the reason why the tension in this movie is so fucking good. There are very few movies where I feel like the score heightens the experience. I think when it comes to how the score is utilized in this movie, what the score does for this movie is it adds to the tone. That's the best way I can describe it. Like a movie like Twister. That's a movie where I think the score heightens that experience because it really adds to that, like, spectacle, and it adds to that tone of what the movie's trying to convey, and I think it adds to that tone. This movie, it definitely utilizes the score when it comes to the tension and the action, and that's why this score is so fucking great. Another thing that surprised me about this movie was the characters. On paper, they feel like characters we wouldn't care about, because there are a lot of people, all the characters in the movie, I think, actually, I gotta really think about that one, but I'm pretty sure each character has a different accent in this movie. Yeah, there are a lot of different accents in this movie that, on paper, would get a little annoying. It didn't really annoy me because how these characters are acted out really made it endearing, and I really did enjoy most of these characters. On paper, these characters would probably just feel like xenomorph food. But how they're acted and how the friendship aspect in this movie and like just coming together, all that happy horse shit, it made it endearing, and I did end up liking the characters, especially the lead. Fantastic actress, Cailee Spaeny. Cailee Spaeny? Yes, Cailee Spaeny. She was in Civil War, which I still have to check out. But I also have to single out Isabella Marced. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. She had a rough start to the year at Madam Web, but damn it, please give this woman more work. She deserves it. She's a great actress. She ruled in this movie. She was another standout for me. And I'm glad she got this movie because, she definitely needs to get some more work in. I highly recommend watching Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg. She was great in that movie. But definitely the cream of the crop was Cailee Spaeny as the lead in this movie. She ruled. She was definitely the closest we've gotten to rivaling Ripley. Nothing's gonna beat Sigourney Weaver's Ripley, but she was definitely close. When it comes to the performances of this movie, Cailee is definitely the standout, but when it comes to intriguingness and well-written characters in this movie, I think Andy is the character Andy in this movie is definitely the standout for me. The synthetic Andy is definitely the standout for me. When it comes to, I'm not gonna really spoil much about him because I think when it comes to the characters of the movie, I don't really want to talk a lot about him because he was a standout for me. I don't think there's one annoying or uninteresting synthetic character in any of these movies, and this one does it in a different way, but still comes off as a standout, and I think this tops Michael Fassbender as David from the first two Prometheus prequel films. I don't think it tops Bishop. I think Bishop is definitely a lot better, and still the GOAT. But yeah, he was probably a standout character, the standout character for me in this movie. So look out for him if you see this, which you need to see this movie. I feel like when it comes to that character, there's a lot of deeper meanings with his character. Of course, all these Alien films have really had a metaphor for Reaganomics. I think we all understand, how Reaganomics is a metaphor in all of these Alien movies. This one, it isn't. I mean, it's present, like most Alien movies, but it isn't like hammered in your face, which I'm appreciated by. But also with his character, there's a metaphor for like our relationship in today's society with AI, because we're definitely in that age of AI almost actually, I would say it's pretty much taken over the world by this point. And this movie definitely adds to like the intriguingness of AI in our society, but also the dangers and social aspects when it comes to how we use AI. Now I really want to talk about the xenomorph itself, or I should say the xenomorphs, but holy shit, they have not looked this good since Aliens. Not only was the CGI for, like, because they definitely did practical xenomorphs. I could tell. There are certain scenes in this movie where I'm like, okay, that had to be practical. There are moments in this movie where I'm like, yes, thank God that was practical. The CGI for the xenomorph is great, and the practical effects for the xenomorphs are great. Specifically, the facehugger. The facehugger, I kind of mentioned that in the beginning of the video. I love the designs of the facehuggers and how they're shown and shot in this movie. They look very well. That goes for all practical effects in this movie and CG effects. There isn't one moment in this movie where I wasn't rolling my eyes or like questioning anything. That I think these are the best visual effects we've seen since Prometheus, but when it comes to how the xenomorph is shown, definitely since Aliens. And also the production design, like the sets, it has this wet and icky and gross and moist feeling to it. And I love that. That's probably the best aspect that these movies give off. And this is probably the one that does it the best. I love the claustrophobia feeling. I love the sense of isolation, which is something that these movies have tried to do. Alien obviously did that well. Aliens, I don't think it really tried to do that. It was definitely a lot more action-oriented. But this movie felt like it really nailed that. Honestly, I think it did a little bit better with the isolation aspect of this than it did in the first Alien movie. The ending of this movie, the third act, the one that I was kind of like shaky about, that honestly just felt like my personal opinion. I don't think that was a bad choice, but I didn't really care for it. I think a lot of movie-going audiences are actually going to enjoy the twists and turns that the end of the third act shows in this movie and the surprises that we see in the end of the third act. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but please go into this movie blind, because I feel like if I knew about those twists and turns that we see at the end of the third act and the end of the movie, would have dissuaded me a lot, because I didn't really care for them. But I can see why someone would actually enjoy those twists and turns, because they were definitely interesting. I wasn't pissed off about it, but I wasn't like, oh shit, like, I wasn't like that. If I had to really say something bad about this movie, it would be, the first act was kind of a little slow, and it did kind of feel like the third act had a little bit of issues with pacing as well. And the story kind of felt a little cut and dry. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't interesting. The story, it was there, and it allowed them to do some creative stuff, so I can't really say anything bad about the story, but it was just pretty is what I can say. But that is really those are pretty much just nitpicks, so please see this movie. It is fucking fantastic. Every aspect of this production just screams great horror. And the horror genre is something that most of my favorite movies of all time, and most of the reasoning on why I want to become a filmmaker, definitely stems from horror movies. Because I feel like horror movies, when it comes to any genre of film, horror, I feel like in my eyes, is the way you can get most creative and really show your vision and really get in depth with certain issues or morals, or it's a way of really showing interesting characters, especially through horror. So the horror genre is definitely something that I really, really love. It's probably like top 3 favorite movie genre, action and comedy being up there as well. Please, for the love of God, see this movie. It is so fucking good. If you don't see this movie, then at least buy it, or rent it, or something. Don't pirate this movie, for the love of God, because I've seen so many people saying they pirated. As much as I hated Trap, I've seen so many people talking to me about saying they pirated that movie because they saw the reviews. I don't know how the reviews are for this movie as of seeing this. I have not looked at the reviews yet. I'm actually curious to see what they are. Hold on. Right now it is sitting at an 82%. Oh, it's at an 82% with 141 reviews. Okay, that's good. This movie is certified fresh, and it deserves to be. Yeah. So please don't pirate this movie. If you see any previews for this movie, try to stay away from them. If you see any trailer on YouTube that isn't the teaser trailer, please stay away from it, because I stayed away from the official second trailer as much as I could. I saw a bit of pieces of it when I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, but I literally ran out of the fucking room because I did not want to see it. And now that I've watched that new trailer after seeing the movie, I can safely say, do not see that trailer. Do not watch it. For the love of God, do not watch it, because it does kind of spoil some of the good tension scenes that we see involving the facehuggers and the xenomorphs. So if you have seen the movie already, please tell me in the comments below how you thought about it, how you felt about it, how you really... Did it escalate the Alien movies in your opinion, or did it de-escalate how you feel about the Alien movies? Did you like the change in director? Would you have rather seen a sequel to Alien Covenant? I personally didn't want to see a sequel to Alien Covenant. I'm kind of glad we got this movie. And I will see you all in the next one for Beetlejuice. When it comes to movie reviews, I don't know if any trailers are going to come out between then and now, but I will see you in the next one.